What's going on? All right. Sorry, I take my little thing out of my ear here. I was listening to some old Rodney Dangerfield. the excitement can barely contain it, huh? Just, oh my God, come on, 6 o'clock. Come on, 6 o'clock. So the weather got bad there, or y'all just lost power, Chris? We're getting rained on here. It's been raining all day long, all day. Oh. Place. No place. Got a little dog trying to sneak around. They're just trying to save a buck. Doing some rolling outages there. And my dog groaning. It's so exhausting to lay down. All right. So did you get all your stuff taken care of that you needed to do before you came on? No frosty beverage for me this evening. I had apparently one too many frosty beverages last night and was feeling it this morning. So that's right. Weekend's on its way. That stinks. I don't know if you can see it or not, Chris. Can you tell like what color, like the red in this thing, how it shows up? Think about maybe like this, and it might. Hopefully, that would look good on a couple of different shirts or colored shirts, along with the other logo. Hey, what's going on, Mason? Yo, yo, yo. You beat Justin again. Hey, Amanda. Justin's probably going to try to use some excuse like he was working or something, you know. I was at work. I'm the better brother, just so you know. That's right. You know, and since he's not on here to try to defend himself, then, you know, obviously you are. That's cool. I'll do that, Chris. It's just like it's a dark red is what it is. So eventually when I figure out that Teespring thing or whatever, I'll have these available for people to just get if they want them, whether it's on a t-shirt or a mug or whatever's. That's right, Mason. I don't even see Mom on here, Mason. Jeez, I tell you what, Mom's even slacking. I tell you, they buy a house and they move in, and now they're too good to come hang out. Something about having to like work and clean the house up. Yeah, and a dog vest too. Yep, man. Pretty much, I guess anything that they'll put that on. That's right. We'll have to let Mom know that. Place. I got a different puppy member in the room today because of all the weather and how cruddy it is. I had to I couldn't put everybody out back to keep them quiet, so I had to disperse them places. So I got Freya in here with me today, and she's just waiting for me to say something so she can come just pounce me to the ground. I'll pick up the camera and there we go. Where's she at? There she is. Down below. Hello. Looking all pitiful and everything else, because she can't be standing on my head. We'll give it a few more minutes. It's only like a couple minutes after 6. See who all will eventually possibly join us. Yeah, if I put her out in the backyard, Amanda, she'd just run back and forth like a maniac. And by the time I got done with this, I would have to bathe her because she would be a mess from the mud that's out there, which I'm sure you understand. Your yard's probably a lake as well. Anybody have an interesting St. Patty's Day or anything, or is it just kind of a regular day? Oh man, all this rain though makes you tired. I'm just kind of feel like I could lay down and go to sleep, but of course I know as soon as I lay down, I would freaking pass out. All right, what is this thing trying to do? Now I'm getting notifications here of stuff. There we go. Too many tornadoes. We don't really get them here, Chris. Like not as bad. There you go. Either that or, if your dad survives, he would come find you. Now, I don't know if he'd save you. He'd probably just grab the hot dogs and then push you back under the rubble. All right, we're sitting at about 5 after. We will go ahead and get started. Probably won't be too long of a video this time. It's not a whole lot with it, so it could be a short day today. But as you saw, possibly on the thing, it's the topic today is Flexi-leads. Are they harbingers of doom? Dun dun dun. Nice little scary background music and everything. So I'm just gonna kind of give a little conversation, get a little talk about them, and about why I'm usually so against them. And then I'll go for a couple of things that they are good for. So the problem with it is most people don't know how to use them. They just let their dogs do their own thing. The thing is So they get them out there, and the people on one over here and 30 feet in another direction is their dog. And they're on their phone, they're talking, they're looking around, and the dog's over here sniffing and doing its thing. And you've got this little thin little wire between you and the dog that people can't really see. So it's slightly dangerous. And I have a story about that here in a little bit that I'll talk to you about. But yeah, it's just, I mean, and then I guess for whatever reason, just to put you on there, they had thought that wasn't dangerous enough or ridiculous enough. They now have a flexi lead with 2 flexis that come off of it. So now you can go 30 directions and 30 feet in either direction. So now you have 2 dogs that you have all over the place. Whoever thought of that idea probably should be shot in the head. That's probably one of the most ridiculous inventions ever. So, but anyway, so the other thing too is most people just don't know how to use them. Literally how to work them, like with the buttons and everything, and how to lock it and keep the dogs from going and all that kind of stuff. So what happens is their dog is running out and they're trying to stop them. A lot of times they'll reach down and they'll grab the line itself, and it'll just run right through their fingers. And if you want to look up and see some horrendous pictures, look up Flexi-leads and rope burn, and you will see some nice pictures of what those Flexi-leads can do to you. Or I've had them and seen them wrap around behind people's legs, not just the person that has the dog, but also other people's legs, and pull across that. And it's usually right there in the bend of your knee, on the back side of your leg. And that's got to be one of the most horrendous pains ever. That's got to just be horrible. So like I said, that's the problem you have, is like most people don't know how to use them. The other thing is they are big and clunky. They're these big, giant, plastic, heavy things. And you can't, sometimes they're hard to hold on to. I've literally seen people drop them. And when a dog hits the end of it, because the dog is running at full speed and hits the end of this, guy has 30 feet to get up to speed, hits the end of that thing, and people, especially if they're not watching or paying attention, it pulls it right out of their hand. This thing hits the ground, a loud noise, and then and takes off behind them. Now you have, depending on the type of dog it is and what the temperament's like, it could scare the crap out of them, in which case then you have a dog who sees this thing and hears it coming flying at them, so they take off running, and now this thing is chasing them. The only problem is it is stuck to them. So this thing is chasing them forever, literally forever. So if you got a dog and it scares them too bad and they won't come back to you, or they don't have any obedience, so they won't come back to you, your dog could be gone and running forever because it's scared. We had a thing here not too long ago where somebody had lost their dog. Luckily, it had been found, and it was actually found because the flexi lead was wrapped around a tree. So my thing is I'm thinking to myself, in a way, it's a good thing, I guess, that the flexi lead was on. But if you really think about it, that could have been a really bad thing, because the flexi lead's wrapped around the tree. That dog could have been stuck there and died from starvation or dehydration. So that could have been a really bad thing. Like I said, the leash pulled out of their hand, it hit the ground, and it chased the dog, and the dog just was gone. He was scared shitless and took off running. So you have issues like that. So, that's something to think about as well. Another thing is, like I said before, people don't pay attention. They literally just don't watch the dog a lot of times. And that's probably one of the biggest things is they don't. I see people walk down a sidewalk on a busy street and the dog's 20 feet out in front of them walking on the sidewalk. And my thought, that every time I see that, I just cringe, because my thought is, it's a dog. Yeah, 98% of the time it may walk straight on that line, or even more, 99% of the time it walks straight. What happens if the one day it just decides, ooh, look at this, and jets off to the side? It's already 20 feet in front of you. I don't care if you lock it or not. By the time he swings over, all he's got to do is cross this little 3-foot patch of grass, and bam, he's done. He could be hit by a car. I just don't understand, why you would even walk one in town on a 30-foot lead. But much less, like I said, it's just most people don't pay attention to it. Let's see. So the example with not paying attention. So years ago, when I was living in Memphis, we have a really huge park in Memphis called Shelby Farms, and it's got probably one of the biggest dog areas where dogs can run off leash and everything that I have probably ever seen. A lot of trails, people hike, they ride mountain bikes, they do all. I mean, they're out there. It's a busy park. I just happened to see a lady. She was walking on one side of the trail. Her dog was on the other side of the trail with a Flexi-lead, and some guy came flying down the trail. And of course, he doesn't see the thin little wire as he's moving, and he runs right into that wire. Him and the dog get tangled up. It pulls the thing out of her hand. The dog gets it. Him and the dog go flying. Luckily, nobody got hurt. And the guy was upset, rightfully so. And he yelled at the lady, and the lady was like, she was so oblivious, like she couldn't even believe that he would run into the wire on a mountain bike path, while her dog is over here. She just wasn't even paying attention to it. That could have been a lot worse than it was. It could have been serious. Like the guy could have got seriously hurt, or the dog could have been seriously hurt. It just was lucky that nobody got hurt. It was amazing. But it's things like that I see that just kind of like, man, come on, people. Why are you even having one of these? And because of stuff like that, that's the stuff that me and most other trainers hear a lot about, is these bad situations. So that's why most trainers, we just don't like them. And it's not so much we don't like the tool itself. It's just overall, because combined with the person and the piece of equipment, it's usually just not a good fit. That's why a lot of times I use a long line instead, because at least the long line drags down. You have to do something with it. You have a little more control, I guess, over it. People tend to be a little bit, I think, because it drags along the ground, they tend to be a little bit more aware of the leash. So like I said, I mean, it's things of that nature. That's why I think most trainers don't like them. It's not that it's not a good tool. It's like, my friend Jim always says, and I'll say this probably 100 times, but he always says it's not the tool, it's the fool behind the tool. It's just like blaming a gun for killing people. I can't remember what comedian it was, but it was talking about laid his gun out in the front yard. It sat there all day long and nobody died from it. Didn't shoot anybody. Or if you don't like a gun analogy, we can go to something else. So it's like blaming a spoon for making you fat. It's just not, that's just not the way it works. So what we'll do is now we're going to kind of change it to what are they good for? They got to be good for something, you would think, possibly. Hopefully. They're good for teaching a recall. Because if the person learns to handle it properly, you can let the dog go out a little ways, and then you can call them to you. And if he doesn't come, you can lock it, give a correction, and then help him come back. And as he comes in, it sucks up the leash, so there's not line everywhere. But like I said, because most people just can't seem to work that, listen and do and grab, and it becomes a mess. You tell them, stop your dog and tell them to come, and they reach over and they're pulling this thing and they're grabbing the line and they're trying to reel them in. It's like this thing reels in kind of on its own in a way. Like you don't have to do all that, but trying to pay attention to the dog and listen to what's supposed to be going on. For most people, it just tends to be overwhelming. Especially if a dog is running at something they're not supposed to be going, people can panic. And so they just kind of lose what they're doing. The other thing it's good for is pottying the dog when it's raining. You're out somewhere and you can't let them free roam or whatever. You throw a leash on them, you stand in a doorway and you let them run out into the yard or run out into an area to go to the bathroom. And there you go. You don't have to get wet. You stay dry and the dog does the dirty work. So another thing is what it's great for, and this is if it's great for letting your dogs explore. And then they're not just sitting at the end of a 4-foot or a 6-foot leash. You actually let them get out and explore. They get to sniff at things. They get to wander a little bit. And if that's the case and they're able to do stuff like that where they could get out there and explore a little bit more, then it frees them up. Then whenever they get off of leash, because they've seen the world and they get to explore and they have some freedoms, they don't go crazy and go, yeah, and they just take off running and never come back because they've never got to be off leash before. You know, kind of a good example would be like most people when they turn 21, they go out and what do they do? They go nuts, and they you know, and they may have been drinking before they turn 21, but now they can buy it on their own and go to a bar and show their ID. They're in there, they're drinking like crazy. You know why? Because they finally get to kind of be free. You know, so dogs, it's kind of the same thing. You know, they finally are free, so they lose their minds and they go crazy. So, like I said, it's good. It's good for things like that. But the problem is, you know, they just most people just don't pay attention. Like I said, I mean, that's my biggest thing. I guess I say the most important part is your dog should have some sort of obedience, whether it's just a very basic obedience when they're on there. They should have a basic knowledge of some stuff so you have some slight control over them. And also the other next important thing is that people should just pay attention. Pay attention not only to your dog, but what's going on around you. You know, I mean, if you're staring at your phone, you're not going to see that your dog is running this way, you're over here and they're over there, and you're walking and you're about to take out a kid or an old lady or whatever, you know, just because y'all are not paying attention. The two of you are 30 feet from each other. You know, so I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing that I have to say to come out from this is that if you're going to use one, you just need to pay attention and make sure you have some sort of obedience on it. It could be a good tool, but most people don't use it properly. Anybody have any questions? Like I said, it's kind of a quick one today. It's kind of my rant on the Flexi-lead a little bit and why, like I said, I think it's a great tool, but I still don't use it as part of my arsenal for teaching people with, just because I find that it's usually a little too much for people, especially if they're trying to listen to me, pay attention to their dog, and using food and everything else. It tends to be a little overwhelming for most people. Like I said, I feel like people tend to watch a long line more because it drags. So they're kind of more aware of it because they can feel it dragging on the ground, or they have to make sure that they're not tripping over it themselves or tangling their dog. So they tend to have a little bit of more of awareness with it. So, but anybody got any questions? Jeez, couldn't get that out. All right. Well, I don't see anybody with any questions, you know, unless the system's being slow with the weather that we got going on. That could be the case too. Hopefully everybody's been able to hear me okay, and we've had no issues with connections. Let's see. Coming to training with a Flexi, I know. Well, make sure you go out and buy one of the Flexis with, you know, Flexi leashes with 2 leashes on it, and make sure you put one on Daphne when you do it as well. And that way it'll make things a little bit more interesting. And then we'll go for a walk through downtown Beaver. I just want to remind everybody, you know, please like and share and follow and all that jazz. It really helps me out. You know, it'll help get my content out there. The more people share it and like it and subscribe as well. You can hit that, like everybody says, you can hit the little bell icon at the bottom, and, you know, and you'll get all that jazz that comes up with it. So, but I also want to thank everybody who was able to come and join me at the live. Like I said, thanks for coming on a Thursday. I know it's usually on Wednesday, but it was St. Patty's Day, and I figured some people might want to be out. Plus, it was also a good friend's birthday, so we wanted to hang out with her and stuff. So it was a good day. So, all right. Well, like I said, I want to thank everybody who was here to watch, and then anybody who watches this on the replay. With that being said, I guess there isn't really any questions about this. Hold on a second. Oh, I just want to make sure that somebody wasn't messaging me to tell me that they couldn't hear me. But like I said, thanks a lot, and we will be back to Wednesdays as usual next week at 6 p.m. unless something ridiculous happens, but I don't foresee that. So I should see everybody tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next Wednesday at 6. And then whoever else, I will see you Sunday all day for training. Other than that, good night, everybody, and have a good one.